We are going to go ahead and get started with this week's AMA. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Excited to have you all here with us today. So, we do have a handful of updates that we are going to give before we hit questions. I have a few that I'm just going to run through real quick. First and foremost, I will be on a Twitter space in 4 hours with Metagoons. So that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's 4 hours from now. So that'll be the Metagoons Twitter space. I'll send out a link to it later as well. But if you are available and want to hear me talk some more, come join us. Second, I wanted to give a shout out to Kirakua and everybody else who contributed and participated. They did a whole bunch of giveaways yesterday. Really appreciate Kirakua always not only doing giveaways but orchestrating all of that and organizing it. He collects stuff from people who want to donate. It's really cool and a lot of fun. So very much appreciated and thank you for that. Also, ADFK, the arcade, they have their leaderboard running for their current tournament. That ends tonight in about 7.5 hours, 9:30 Eastern. So if you have not participated, go check it out. If you have participated, make sure you're placed well on the leaderboard. So 7.5 hours to go on that. One other thing I wanted to mention, there are going to be a few more game launchers that you'll see that are popping up that we'll be on. So we actually did announce Magic, and then Medicaid and KAP should both be announced here shortly today. But really excited for that. Kudos to shout out to Sunbear and Strider, who's not up here with us, for leading the charge on all of those launchers. Actually, I guess Sunbear, anything you wanna add on that front before I just keep talking for you?
No, just excited to get more eyes on the game and in more regions of the world, and really kudos out to Strider. He's really kind of taken this area under his wing to really focus on it and create those relationships. He's been working real hard for us in that way. So good job, Strider.
Yeah, every one that we go on is just another place where people can find DFK. So always very exciting. And on that note, there's one more. The Game Awards nominations are open. If you have not seen that, we did include that in our patch announcement last night. But please go vote for us if you would not mind. You don't have to connect your wallet. You can just create an account, or you can connect your wallet to be your account, whatever you want to do. But it's something that was done last year that was pretty big. We're excited to be, involved this year, and would really appreciate it if you would go vote for us. You can vote for up to 10 games, and you can also vote for up to 10 content creators. So make sure you show our content creators some love in there as well, because they're out here grinding, making YouTube videos all the time. So make sure you nominate some of them for the content creators as well. We have some fantastic ones, and they deserve the recognition. So with that, I am going to pass it off to Fox for his update.
All right. Hey guys. So yeah, I was out last week, had a little vacation trip, but I did get to meet up with Christian over in California, so that was cool. Had a little bit of work stuff, but let's see. Yeah, my update is basically Duels. I've been working hard on it, and we had a lot of meetings in our tokenomics committees and just sort of in threads as well in Slack, doing a lot of back and forth on what we want to do in terms of how we can integrate new things with the equipment front. And there's some exciting things there. So I've been working on that, trying to get those ready. There was also a very helpful thread by the community, which I alluded to last time. And it had a lot of ideas for small things we could do to improve it here and there. So there's some tweaks there as well. I'll be announcing all of the new things more next week, but I am trying to get it ready to launch by next Wednesday. And it's on track right now, but of course, if there's any issues found during testing, then that might impact that. but that's my hope and my goal, and just hard at work on that. I wanted to let you guys know where it's at. So stay tuned, and I'm excited about it. Thanks, Bolon. Back to you.
Nice. Yeah, I know many people are excited for it, looking forward to what's coming in this one. And with that, we will go over to Beetle Dude for an update.
Ooh, it's me, your favorite dude and Beetle. Yeah, I've got a very exciting announcement to make, and then I will send the rounds around and we can all celebrate and get hyped. But yeah, without further ado, some of you may be familiar with a gentleman by the name of Workhorse who hangs out here and on Twitter and all the many things, and does great work designing classes for us. Well, recently he has put forward, and we have also put forward the thought of having him work directly with Kingdom Studios on our team internally. And that is what is happening. Workhorse will be joining the Kingdom Studios team effective this week. So he'll be working directly with us, and he'll be in our Slacks, and we will be able to partake of all the many skills that he has above and beyond what he's already doing for us with the game design classes and things like that, and helping Hubert, but also leveraging some of his other amazing skills as well. So we're super excited, super bullish about it. He has always been a huge supporter of DFK and of Kingdom Studios, and this is just a logical step to take that relationship to the next level, and we are beyond stoked about that. And just, it's going to be great. He already has a great and amazing influence on what we're building, and having him work internally with us will just make that so much better and effective. And I think probably the most affected person with this change might be Hubert, so I can kick it over to him to get some of his hype going as well.
Oh man. Yeah, so I am very very excited about this, and I know that's the banned word, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. But it's been great working with Workhorse in the capacity we were doing before. But there were always kind of just pains with kind of having communication channels being limited and having to kind of go back and forth and trying to keep him up in the loop as much as possible. So this is really great to just have him be plugged in with us and be able to just be involved as we're generally involved in our day-to-day working environment. So I anticipate this just improving our efficiency and just having us be more tied together and just being able to work better. So yeah, very very happy that we were able to make this happen. Look forward to what it means for the future, and it's the combat engine that we have right now, everything, the way it works and everything, it all came about through us collaborating together. So it's just great to have them in the fold. So yeah, I'm very bullish on this, and it's too early to be saying that, but I'm bullish. Thanks, guys.
I'll allow it, and definitely worth it.
I am very excited about Workhorse, but could we get Pervy Sage on the team? Is that an option?
It's like a two-faced situation,
I know.
A bit of both.
We got to bring them in.
It's true. And I don't know. Yeah, we can open the floor if anybody else has anything to add, but we're just super, super stoked. He's great.
I shall be excited as well. Yeah, I'm really glad that we're doing this. I just personally like Workhorse as a person. I respect him as a professional. Risen actually was the first one, I think, to make initial introductions and connections, and I still remember that first call we had where we're brainstorming how we could work with him, and at the time, he was really focused on wisdom. So this change, in a lot of ways, it doesn't change a lot because, somebody said, oh, DFK's hiring. This is bullish. It's bullish because we're going to be more effective. Really doesn't change treasury much since we were already working with Workhorse for a while. I think as we shifted away from Wisdom doing the production side of the game and that coming in house, our remaining connection there was really because of this person. He was so passionate, so talented, so fun, and as a result, I think of us, that being the primary relationship that persisted with Wisdom, made a lot of sense to contract directly through Kingdom Studios. But not a lot of things have changed outside of that in terms of impact on treasury and everything. So I wish we were in a hiring spree. I believe that we will get there one day. We need a lot of things to happen before that, but just want to be transparent with that. Yeah, Workhorse is somebody that loves DFK, loves building games. He really believes in us. We believe in him. So only beautiful things can come from us breaking down some of the communication barriers and inviting him in, so to speak, and also use all the other parts of his brain that we haven't been able to use, especially on the biz dev side. He's also been involved in multiple raises. We've been instructed a number of times, not the right time to raise for DFK, but it doesn't mean that we can't be working towards things and maybe find the right pocket. So incredibly talented, passionate human. Happy to have him here.
Technically, I was the first one to talk to Workhorse. Just got to claim that real quick. But just kind of kidding. Handed it to Risen after a couple Twitter DMs, so he can take most of the credit there. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I was the first one to DM Workhorse. And I'm
You
very proud
just couldn't help it, Bolin, could you? You just
I have
couldn't help it.
screenshot favorited on my phone. Look at them and feel good about it.
You should make that screenshot an NFT.
Oh, I should. Ooh, that would be good. But no, I'm really just kidding. But yeah, super, super excited as well. Workhorse has been absolutely phenomenal. To answer Dace's question, which I foresaw coming, Workhorse is not able to join us this week. He is actually traveling, but we will be working to get him into some of our future AMAs. It might not be everyone, it might not be immediately. He does still have wisdom as well, but we will work on getting him into some of our future ones so that we can direct some questions away from Hubert to Workhorse instead. Speaking of actually questions for Hubert and AMA, which would have been a great segue into asking Hubert some questions, but I'm not going to yet. Hubert, did you want to touch on that? The next few AMAs. Sorry.
Oh yes, yeah. So actually, I am going to be traveling, as we seem to be playing tag on traveling. So the next few AMAs I likely won't be here. So going to be relying on Workhorse if he can make it. If not, on Beetle and others to cover those questions. But you might get a bunch of responses that are like, "Well, Hubert's not here, and we haven't decided, so we'll just wait." So I guess we'll see how that goes. But anyway, now y'all know. So I'll still be around and working in the background. I just won't be able to make these meetings. So
I'm looking forward to the first AMA you get back, and I can tell everybody else to just not even bother joining because we just have a backlog of Uber questions.
Kick those cans down the road.
It's okay. I'll just answer all the questions with whatever I think, and then we'll make Hubert make it work.
That's
He
actually
loves that. I've heard.
That's the game plan. We all get to decide the answers and then just tell Hubert that this is what we said.
I'll have a heart attack.
It's your favorite game, Hubert. Rebalancing once we mess everything up.
Hubert's like, I was trying to enjoy my time on vacation, guys. But yeah, very much glad that you are taking some time and taking a trip and hopefully enjoy yourself. But with that is all of our updates for this week. So we are going to launch into some questions, and some of them will undoubtedly be for Hubert. And actually, you know what? The first one is. It's like it was meant to be.
Hey.
So the question is, can we please make pets feedable at any point in time, regardless of hunger?
Hmm. Yeah, that is kind of different from the design path we had before. Though it has been something I've been thinking about as a potential change we could do. The intent behind that was just to have the game be more where there is kind of a need to check in and make sure things are running and whatnot. But as we've kind of been shifting away towards expeditions and other things, I will say that we do have plans for at least within expeditions to not need to for there to be a way to have pet feeding be automated as well. But yeah, as far as just making it so you could say here are 10 premium treats, you're good for 20 weeks. That would be a change, and I'm not sure what I'll say about that right now, but it has been something I've been thinking about and something that we'll probably discuss internally now that it's kind of been brought up again. So yeah, sorry for the kind of non-answer there, but that's about the state of it right now.
On a side note, Dr. Zipper just volunteered to answer all of your questions for the next few weeks in the AMAs.
Thanks, Zip.
And the only way for him to refute it is to get on stage and say no.
Exactly. That's an abuse of power. Hey, I am the stage moderator. Let's see. Another Hubert question. Hypothetically, if gold eggs are mounts/travel related, would they have their own pet slot?
Nope. The plan is for gold eggs to use the same pet slot as all the other pets, so there won't be like a second specific to gold pet slot to use.
All right. Let's see. Hubert, you're still welcome to weigh in on this one, but if you want to take a break and make someone else, you can. With Crystal becoming more of a play token, but items on the bazaar transacting in Jewel, what are the thoughts on having the tavern be in Jewel?
Yeah, I'm sure others might want to weigh in on that. I think that's an interesting idea. I know. We have the contracts all set up as they are right now, so transitioning like that would probably be difficult unless we just had an option to do both. But I think in general, it's been our strategy to have the power tokens be the drivers of most of the, I guess, internal to the realm transactions for the most part. But I mean, we have kind of expanded that a bit with the bazaar, and we have a few other things planned to include Jewel usage as well. So yeah, if we were to change that, it may be a little bit disruptive, but I'm not sure if anyone else wants to add any thoughts here, Fox.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts. So with our auction contracts, we've got a few now. We've got hero auction, land auction, and now we've got equipment auction. And all those are kind of built off the same architecture and use ERC20 tokens. They don't currently support gas tokens natively, which we would want to have in place if we did support something like this. The Bazaar was actually built from the ground up to support like using gas tokens as well as ERC20 tokens as the base currency. And the plan for the Bazaar, as we integrate it into other plans on other chains in the future, through like outposts or through collaboration with like Mythic Swap or things like that, is to try to target the most used like assets on each of those ecosystems. So using the gas token makes a lot of sense for that one. So it was kind of a test, and it has been working really well. The other part of it is, in particular with heroes, you use the power tokens for summoning, and you also have the option to rent a hero when you're summoning. So having that rental fee be a part of the tavern, having it use a power token just makes it easier for the end user to not have to suddenly have to use 2 separate tokens in a single transaction when they're trying to summon and also rent. It could get tricky there. So I think for now, I'm leaning towards having it stay as power tokens. That's sort of the intent of it, is you use them currently to summon and to acquire heroes, and also even to acquire and probably craft equipment and things in the future. It sort of makes sense to use it for the sale and transacting of it as well. But I'm not saying we wouldn't in the future, but for now, it still makes sense to just continue to use it in my mind.
Dreamer, I had seen you unmuted. Did you want to add to that as well?
Oh, a lot of what I was going to say was said by Fox. Just to recap, if I summon a hero in Crystal, then I go and list it, and I want to look at the cost that is going on the market for similar heroes relative to what I summoned. Makes a lot of sense to be in the same currency. So, I think it helps a lot of people gauge the market, follow the market, see when they've kind of gotten lucky with their hero, and see when maybe unlucky. It would be a little bit confusing, I think, if those were different. Whereas Jewel in the Bazaar, a lot of things can flow through there. Some of them you just get from spending stamina. Stamina doesn't have a price. Makes a lot of sense to be in some common token. That's Jewel. Equipment's in Crystal. That's kind of yet to be seen how things come out there, but that's more of like playing the game. In order to get that equipment, you didn't, or you had to spend Crystal. So kind of makes sense. So trying to make sure secondary market and currencies supporting it are consistent with how you obtain it. And then also, when there's only one thing on that market, and that one thing comes directly from Crystal, really easy to make that decision. So just adding on what Fox said very well.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I think you both alluded to it anyway, but just to, fully flesh it out, like if you look at the loop, you come into DFK, you want to play, you need a hero. You buy that hero in Crystal, want to do a Void Hunt, you buy equipment in Crystal, you then, do the Void Hunt with Crystal. So buying a hero is like, even within the question, it was with Crystal becoming more of a play token, but you need heroes to play. So keeping the heroes in Crystal kind of just completes that loop.
I'll also just add a final thought, because I think the same thing could be said for, well, why not items that you use in the game in the Bazaar? Why are they using Jewel? And does that require extra steps to go and acquire the Jewel? I think in the first place, a lot of our users will already have Jewel because it's used for gas and you need it to play the game too. But we've also talked a bit internally about reducing the sort of like runaround for our users, so that if you want to buy an item, or if you are trying to summon, or if you're trying to craft an item, or if you're trying to make something and you don't have an item, we'd like to make it be easier for them to just, in context of that item, have like a little button to say, acquire that and then do it right now. Or even have it be wrapped and have it be able to get that all in one transaction as well, like swap it from whatever asset you already have. So there is some talks there to improve that a little bit, but that's sort of what we've been talking about.
Awesome. I hope that answers the question. Let's see. Probably a Beetle Dude question, but maybe not. I don't know. Thoughts on having NFT offers, so being able to place offers on heroes, pets, equipment, etc.
That's an interesting one. I feel like we've maybe talked about this before. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it could be a pretty complicated system if we were to implement it. But I know we've still got in-game chat on the horizon as well that I think would be maybe a good middle ground starting point for that. Where we'd have a specific in-game channel for posting and offering on heroes. But yeah, I don't know. As far as like including it in the tavern or something, I think that would probably be a bigger lift and probably something that we need to discuss internally a little bit more.
I'll jump in here too, because I get asked a lot in Discord and elsewhere, like, hey, would you sell me this hero or that hero? And I'm always happy to do it as long as it's not one of my Gen Zeros. But I think it would be cool to have something. I know some third parties are building tools that will have some of this built in as like a feature. So that's one option. But as far as functionality goes, I don't think it has to be super complex either. It could just be like enter hero ID, enter how much you want to pay for it, escrow that amount, and then the other player, when they log in, it's almost like a airdrop or something. It's like, hey, this person has an offer for one of your heroes. Click yes to accept, and boom, it does it. But it's all about priorities. It's all about what do we want to spend our time on. And especially with the third parties potentially building out that stuff, I think it's probably just going to be, will we have time for that?
Most definitely. Appreciate you, gentlemen. Let's see. Back to Hubert for a minute. For the helmets and masks in the game, they currently go in the accessory spot. Thoughts on having a separate helmet slot? Is that a change that we are considering? Do we intend for them to remain accessories?
Funny that you mentioned that, because that was something that was talked about within the last week too. But at the moment, I think we're going to continue to have them be accessories. But we do have some plans as well to help with maybe some of the coordination issues you might be having. But I'll just keep that as a vague point for now. But yeah, with how we've designed it and how it's all set up on chain, it's pretty disruptive at this point to be adding any new equipment slots. Not to mention it just adds to the balance burden that we have, and I think we have a pretty big balance burden as it stands right now, and don't really feel that great about adding any more to it. So yeah. Anyway, so as of right now, no plans to make any additional equipment slots.
Makes sense. Does Crystal ever stop emitting from the ice gardens? Anybody else is welcome to weigh in on this, but the short answer is yes. Yes, it does. There is a schedule for emissions, so it goes down, according to this, on February 8th, it goes down to the final emission amount, I'll believe you, of 0.5 crystal per second. It does run at that rate for a while. I don't remember the end date of emissions. I don't know if anybody else happens to remember off the top of their head. But yes, there is an end date. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I'll also add that we've talked a lot from the very start about having the quest fund be a continuing way to incentivize some of those activities, and it'll kind of transition from at the start being more of a trying to focus on like having the gardens for the like incentivization, and then as we build out the game and have more things there, it'll transition more into that role. So that's the intent, and that's how we designed it. And kudos to Hubert, who was involved with that as well.
Nice. Let's see. So with equipment now being live in DFK, the idea to expand on some additional promotional equipment has been proposed. So the idea is, and obviously we don't have to commit to anything here, but curious of thoughts. The idea is to have an accessory that we use as Tilt Proof Tuesday each week. So there, Kupo submitted this and he wrote some really good good background for these, which I really enjoy, but I won't read it all here. But I'll read the first one. So, if you like each week there would be, potentially first, second, and third place winners. The first place winner gets the gold medal. It's a trinket to represent the winner for a contest. Its exterior appears to be gold, yet the overall quality of the material seems to be made out of cheap copper. But the idea of having just like a running piece of equipment that we use for tilt proof each week. Curious if y'all have any thoughts.
the implication that there would be a new one every week,
Yeah.
or that it would be the same one.
Same one. Same one. If that's not what he meant, that's what I mean. But no, same one.
Got it. Yeah, I'm not opposed per se. But yeah, just something that we'll need to queue and do.
Yeah.
SBD putting his opposition in.
Yeah, I mean, in general, as a concept, I do not dislike it, but there is some execution side that we would need to take into account and figure out. But it is an interesting concept, so it's definitely something that I think we can give some thought to. Cool. Let's see, Hubert. What are the chances we could see instruments added to the game, perhaps for bards?
Um, so that was actually something that we had originally put in the design of having there be instruments, but we kind of went the same route as we did with Pirate, with having it be more of a built-in feature, like the Pirate having a gun, being kind of similar to that. So just because only Bard would be using those instruments, and it's just a lot of extra overhead to have to worry about and build to just to have those. So we decided not to do instruments and work it that way. And I guess it's always possible that we could adjust in the future, but I think as of right now, that's our plan moving forward.
Let's see, Magnus/Fox. Thoughts on changing target gas for DFK chain?
This is the fortnightly question that we get. We've sort of like mentioned in the past some of the reasons why we haven't. We actually have changed this in the past to where it is now, and it seems like it's working really well in terms of like our chain is processing the most gas out of any chain out there and staying up while doing it. We've analyzed this a few times and spoken with Apple Labs about it, and we're trying to be conservative because we're sort of already in unexplored territory. We're basically pushing our chain so much that other chains aren't doing that. It's kind of like uncharted territory about what problems could this unlock down the line once we get X amount of data stored in our state trie. Am I saying that right, Magnus? And all those things there. So it's just kind of, we're trying to be cautious. I think that there are some levers that we could still explore, but we're trying to make sure that we're in a good spot to stay up as long as we can for as many people as we can without having to really make drastic changes.
Yep. Fox had a really good explanation there. I just wanted to add that the gas fees are a very complicated equation to balance. We do want to keep gas fees cheap and make sure there's plenty of throughput on the chain. But as Fox said, we are kind of in uncharted territory, and we have to balance the growth of the size of the chain state as well as the hardware requirements that it takes to run RPCs and validators. I know some people have brought up doubling the target gas or increasing the target gas. That would mean there's more chain state needed, and it's already takes a long time for the chain to sync and almost requires snapshots. And then that also means larger CPU and RAM, which is a kind of like a hard cost we have to pay to keep the chain going, and there are really no ways around that. Ava Labs has also asked us to kind of restrict the settings on a few occasions because they're worried about as Fox mentioned, the state trie or tree, however you say that, getting into a runaway condition, which is something we definitely don't want, which that means the validators essentially can't keep up with all the processing they need to do to keep the chain running smoothly. I'll also say that on a kind of a few related notes, Ava Labs is putting a lot of focus on their product Hyper VM, which is a completely different VM technology that makes things a lot more efficient than the EVM by kind of like doing things in a different way. And I know one of those particular areas they're focusing on is the underlying database technology, and making that more efficient. So there's a good chance that makes its way over to the subnet EVM at some point. I don't know in what capacity or how much that would help, but I know they have mentioned that potentially being an option as well, which might have some marginal improvements on things. In terms of just like the gas that our contracts consume, with the launch of expeditions, I'm going to be modifying the way questing works to use a lot less on-chain storage writing, which is often the most expensive operation in an EVM. And that there's a lot of storage writing that happens on start quests in terms of the that transaction, and if we can make that more efficient, that should have knock-on effects for the gas usage for the entire chain, because questing makes up a good chunk of that. And also, just by design, expeditions will be taking a lot more batched approach to computation, and so it because you'll be submitting transactions less frequently, there's less kind of base costs associated with that, and that should allow for hopefully a lower overall gas usage on chain, because it won't require daily transactions to be submitted, and it'll be more of a I guess periodic submission that should be spaced out a little more.
Yep, that's a good point about, there's other ways to improve efficiency besides just increasing or I guess actually like lowering the like costs of the target gas and things like that. It's not really the solution. In my mind, the solution is just to make things more efficient. Obviously, you're going to see some gains by increasing hardware, increasing that, but there is a limit, just in terms of like what's actually possible with fast hardware. We're already using really fast, really expensive hardware, much higher than what you would need to validate like the C chain or Ethereum or any other network out there, really. So there is a limit to how far we can get on that, and we're exploring other options as well.
Nice. Appreciate the explanation from both of you. It also makes me feel good when very technical people also can't pronounce random technical things, because I definitely cannot. I know exactly what you're talking about. I also don't know how to say it.
I always said tree, but it's spelled TRIE. And then we were on a call with Patrick. He was a very smart guy, much smarter than me. He works at Ava Labs. He said trie, and I'm like, oh, damn. So, just like how I used to say AVAX, and now I say AVOX because of Luigi. I guess I'm just easily influenced.
It's way, and I don't care what anybody says.
I was also in the tree camp as well, but I've been thrown for a loop now by Patrick, so I don't know which one it is.
Oh, second best dad's dropping facts in there. Apparently it is tree. So, there you go. Let's see. Are we expecting any new classes in the near future? Hubert, you want to take that one?
New classes meaning new skill codexes, or
I think they mean like new
actual
classes, new classes.
So I that would come with an expansion into the game. So I think once we start making comments about a next expansion, that's when you can expect to see, there would be new classes that would come along with that. So that's not something we've been talking about openly at the moment, but I guess something to look forward to. We are, it's not to say that we aren't talking about expanding or anything like that. It's just we don't have anything to announce at the moment.
Fantastic. Oh, Dreamer, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add, we still have so many classes to get into the battle. I'm really excited to be releasing them out. If we added more, I mean, now we're prematurely, before we had like a really good timing or target for an expansion, although it'd be fun to have more classes in there. It'd just be even more to, longer road to get them in. So I think, as Hubert said, our current strategy is to time that with an expansion to a new chain with a new realm, which I think if and when we do a third realm on a new chain, I think we're going to try to continue to be creative and innovative and see how we do it. But currently, the consistency there would probably be a release of 2 new classes. But you never know. Things are always different in this market. We're always finding the best solutions, and sometimes the best solutions are a little bit different than what we did in the past. So I don't want to overpromise anything either on when or how it happens, but that's our current focus, and people shouldn't expect them anytime sooner than more information on potentially a third realm, which we're not very close to at the moment, and doesn't seem like the best timing currently anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Can we expect some type of burning event for Eternal Pages before an announcement for their utility?
Probably not. I guess they have had kind of plans for those. It's still a ways out before it happens, so I mean, we can talk about it more internally and see if there's any changes to, I guess, that approach. But it might be unfortunate if we did something to burn them in advance of what we were planning, and then there were fewer available once we did get to that point. So yeah, but I'll definitely bring it up as a topic, and internally we'll see if anything changes.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. This is probably Dreamer Sun Bear primarily, but anybody else is also welcome, of course. How are the latest talks with Klaytn going after the proposal was not passed? Are we planning a second proposal?
Maybe I could start that one, then hand it over to you, Sunbear. So yeah, we had a multi-hour meeting at their headquarters in Singapore after Token, and we had a list of about 4 or 5 major things that we want to focus on improving. To recap the narrative with Klaytn, when we initially made the decision to go there, we had a incentivized deal, which is fully paid out, which is great. We delivered a realm with a few updates that was existing, but relaunched it there, and then provided a number of additional features. During that time, though, there were some interesting developments that we couldn't have foreseen at that time. So FTX impacted regulation and other views in Korea, and their parent company actually restructured their whole, I guess, company. And as a result, a lot of people left that we were working with initially. One that people might remember, David Chin, who was like our main contact. We had an AMA. We all really liked him. He had a little bit of degen in him, but he was really professional and awesome. He moved on, among others, and we had to kind of give them time to figure stuff out. They figured stuff out and are kind of organized in a very different way. We're trying to figure out the best way to work with them. So one difference is their parent company no longer controls them because they technically don't own them. So now they're validators. Their governance council controls everything. So they have a little bit approved of what they can do, and outside of that, you need to have votes. So we tried to be the first proposal that didn't come from their main team, and it was rejected, but we got a lot of feedback on that. And the main goal here is to work on covering costs of running on Klaytn. It's expensive. We have to solve for things that are either more expensive or we don't have to solve for on DFK chain. But there's also some things we don't have to solve for over there that we do have to solve for on DFK chain. So we're trying to find creative ways to solve for that. And we're actually talking to them later tonight. Well, tonight my time, early morning Sunbear's time, midday their time, as a follow-up. So has it been progressing as quickly as we want? To be honest, no. Are we putting on a lot of pressure, and is Sunbear staying on them? Yeah, he's doing a great job. Although we're not necessarily happy with the overall response and proactiveness, I can say I hear the sincere interest to do better and to work with us and support us, not only from a technological perspective so that we can put more things on their chain easier, find creative ways to cover our operational costs. That is progressing, just maybe not as fast as we'd like. And on marketing, they're really focused on Vietnam and Japan right now. They're kind of less focused on Korea, given the shift in regulatory approach and overall sentiment of Web3. But Vietnam and Japan would be amazing markets for DeFi kingdoms. And if we have people there, boots on the ground, and they have marketing budget that we don't have, it could be a really good, phase 2 of the relationship to turn that up. So trying on our side to do all we can. We're working with another team who's also in a transition period, doing all they can to improve for their ecosystem. So it takes more time than I'd like, but I do think that people are trying, and we for sure are trying. Sunbear, that was probably a longer update. I might have said some things you wanted to say. Apologies, but over to you to add on any part of that.
Awesome. Thanks, Dreamer. Yes, you covered a lot of that really well. I'll just reiterate that, that like Dreamer said, they do seem motivated to do some good work with us, and this feels like a very different company, in a lot of ways a different group than where we started with them. And so I think they're trying to figure out how to work together, how to work with their validators, their voting system, all that kind of stuff. And they're really great in person to kind of talk about like what they can do as a group and then what needs to go to the community. Gave us some great feedback about how to do proposals in the future if we choose to go that direction again, breaking things down in much smaller chunks, more maybe palatable to the validators instead of all the chunks at once, if that makes sense. But yes, major focus on figuring out with them in creative ways that we can get some operating costs covered. So a couple different groups we're working on in that area. We're scheduled to do a follow-up with their marketing team and really sync up our marketing teams. I'm really excited too, because it seems like there's a lot of our partners that are wanting to really move into Klaytn and that area. For example, Halliday's working on that. We've got on-ramps that are working on launching there. Other folks like DQuest that are one of our partners are integrating with them right now. And so I think it's a really great time for us to see like, hey, what can we all do together in these relationships, especially as Klaytn is really trying to push into and market heavy in Vietnam and Japan. So we're going to see what opportunities we can really capitalize on there. There's also another group that we're working with on talking through the transaction computation limits that would require like a hard fork on their end to really make it easier for our users to use the Klaytn space and make it more user friendly. So those conversations are happening, and yes, like Dreamer said, we are staying on top of this, and it's nowhere near where we want it to be, but we're going to keep working on it to make it better.
And maybe I think part of the question was, are we going to submit another proposal? Maybe in lieu of that, we're working with the team directly to get progress on things they do control, with the primary focus of making it more possible for us to launch features in Serendale, as there are some, a few more features now in Crystal Vale that aren't over there. We don't like that. We want things to be over there. We want Jade to get some love. We want more activity over there. We just we need them to play ball with us a little bit and help. And yep, it's progressing. Hopefully we get there sooner rather than later. But after the success of those efforts, I imagine we will look at additional grant proposals that will probably be put together a little bit differently, as Sunbear alluded to. But first priority is just, let's see what they can do. Once they show up, it also shows their governance council that they've worked with us and that we've made progress working together as a partner. And I think that will help as well in follow-up votes.
Awesome. Thank you both. Let's see. This one is likely a Hubert question. Will higher level classes, so like advanced and up, be a little bit stronger than the lower levels? So for example, a damage dealer spell, or a damage dealer sage would have an attack spell from the same skill tier as a damage dealer summoner, but it does a little bit more, that might use a little bit more mana, but it packs a little bit more of a punch also.
So yeah, we're gonna need to be somewhat careful with that, because right now we have the Void Hunt with the Boar Fight, and with how we're kind of balancing things, we are balancing the damage to have a certain degree of difficulty, and additionally are also thinking about how these values are going to impact PvP. I think we're going to be careful about having, the higher tier classes just being able to one shot the basic classes or things like that. Because the advanced classes do also already just have better stat growth in general. And as you've seen with how we've set up the combat system, stats really matter. So, and those higher tier classes are playing with the same stat formulas that everyone else is using, so they're generally just going to be higher up in their stat scores in like their evasion if they're if ninjas and whatnot. So like it they already have an advantage because they have more stat growth and more stats. So if we were to then give them, while they already have that advantage, also give them attacks that are just generally better in terms of like how much damage they can do just with multipliers, then it's like a double whammy that I think we should be careful to really make sure that that's the right decision to make. I do think we're going to try to have more unique utility out of them, that they'll be able to do things that other classes can't do, and I think that's will be kind of one of the ways that they'll shine differently. Is just we have a lot of flexibility with our design and with the things we can let the heroes do, and we're just going to continue to flex that. So this isn't to say that we're going to make them weaker per se. I think just in general, the higher, more stats means you're better, and advanced classes have that. So hopefully that makes sense.
Nice. No, it definitely does make sense. I appreciate it. I am going to snag one more question. I'm going to go a little out of order because it is a direct Hubert question. So I'm going to take advantage of having him one last time real quick before he's gone for a couple AMAs. So thoughts on taking away recovery procs for pre-built PvE encounters?
Yeah, I don't really like that. I gotta say, I know that there's people that don't like having a taunt get recovered. I think this is all just because people have been had a taunt get recovered at the worst time, and I've had this happen to me like 2 or 3 times too. I know people don't like that, but at the same time, your heroes can recover as well, and I've had a great recovery come in and help me at times too. And if I were to turn it off on one side, I'd turn it off on the other as well, because the goal with these hunts and PvE in general, like as we're developing, we're also testing the system. We're testing our ideas, seeing how well they work. We may evolve on some things to address like specific pain points, but I really don't want to change, like remove recovery entirely. I think it's a great mechanic personally.
Very nice. I do appreciate it. So we will stop there and wrap up. For those questions that we've not gotten to yet, we will get to them next week, so no worries. Your questions will be answered. As always, don't ape into broken mechanics. Shout out to all of you. You are all amazing, and thank you. That goes to everybody that can hear this and those that can't. But yeah, super excited for the future. Reminder in case you missed it at the beginning, Metagoons will be hosting a Web3 gaming Twitter space in 3 hours. I will be on it. So if you care to tune in, tune in. And also, if you have not seen the tweet about the Game Awards, if you would care to vote for us, please do so. And you can also vote for content creators. So 10 games and 10 content creators that you can vote for. So we would love it if you showed us some love, but also show our content creators some love because they are fantastic. Other than that, let's see. Any final thoughts from anybody? I feel like Hubert just owes us a bullish because he's going to miss a couple AMAs.
Can I just barely do that?
Sure, you can do a light one at the end.
Okay. Well, I'm fine to do it, but yeah, sorry. Comment time.
You could say the bounty bits.
No one knows what you're talking about.
Nope.
All right.
They do not.
Well, they do now. Yeah, I'll also say a few words though. Just I'm excited about Duels, I said at the start, but this is the first time that we'll have equipment in the mix, and it's going to be cool how equipment will impact so many different parts of our game. And I said this, I think, a couple weeks ago too, but I'm just really super excited about equipment in general. It's going to be amazing. So go ahead.
Any other final thoughts from anybody?
I don't want the hype train to die, so just super stoked to have Workhorse on the team. It's gonna do amazing. Just that's all.
Most definitely. All right. Last call. Anybody got anything? Sounds like a no. Hubert, take us away.
Alrighty. Yep. Well, yeah. Just circling back. Thanks for the reminder, Beetle. That yes. With our most recent edition of Workhorse team, I couldn't be more bullish for our future. So thanks, everybody.
Woo!
Bullish.
Bullish.
See
Bullish.
y'all next week.